Instagram and Facebook at the same time. Like, this is like revolutionary in my world. Let's just have a round of applause for myself. Okay, so we're going to continue our conversations just between you and me. And this morning at the gym, like, I knew I was like, okay, we got to have a little conversation just between you and me. Like, what are we going to do? And I think it's not about like a seasonal thing. I think this is just always the way that it is. And you always have to, my coach used to say the word manipulate, and I actually love that word. If you don't love it, ditch it and do something else. But he would say, Heather, you've got to manipulate yourself into doing hard things. Okay. Now he would say manipulate yourself into doing lots of different things. I love the idea of not getting what you have, like not settling for that. I love being able to think, okay, just because like I feel this way, or just because that's the situation I'm in right now, doesn't mean it has to stay that way. So I love the word manipulate because it means that I have control over change. And so thinking about doing hard things, and whether it's physically hard or spiritually hard or emotionally hard or any of those hard things, you got to figure out a way to do it, because giving up, quitting, exiting out, what they call it right now in the corporate world, a quiet quit, passive aggressively quitting, like those things aren't options. And first of all, if you give yourself the easy way out, you will always take it. So you need to eliminate, if you really want to do hard things, not doing hard things is not an option. So just stop thinking about it. Stop talking about it, because it's not an option. And when you eliminate that from your choices, all you have left is how can I? Okay. And so that's what I want you to think of when you're thinking about having to manipulate yourself into doing hard things. Hi, Dawn. I see you over there on Instagram. Is I want you to think, how can I? And the first tip I'm going to give you is, how can I make this more fun? And this is straight off of our conversation that we had last week when we were talking about Jon Acuff and his book Finish. And we were talking about, what to ditch, what to dump, what to suck at. But so if you have not watched that, go back and watch that. But this one is about, his whole chapter is make it fun. And my coach used to always say, so a hard thing for me is maybe not going to be a hard thing for you, but we would call that a red light activity, something that is difficult for you, something that is not natural, something that for whatever reason you're just having a hard time with it. So that's a red light activity. How can you turn it green? How can you make it more fun? And that question isn't a la la, rah rah, sis boom bah sort of question. It's a question to manipulate yourself into doing it and also maintaining it. Usually if it's a hard thing, sometimes it's not a one and done thing. Sometimes it's something that you need to create a habit. And we'll talk about that in a second. But how can I make this more fun? It's a simple question, but I'm telling you, it opens your mind and your heart and your spirit into, I got some options here. How can I make this more fun? And for me, everything that is going to be more fun is going to be in terms of putting pajama pants on with animals and a fun movie. Like I honestly can get myself to do just about anything if I do those three things. But I know that about myself. It's in my toolbox that, Heather, if I need to do something hard, that's the way it's going to be. Or like if it's physically hard, like I hate going to the gym at 4:00 in the morning. I do. Like, why would you like it? That's not an easy thing to do. But if I can get it done, check it off a list. I dominate with a list. Do you guys dominate with a list? Like, I love checking things off a list. So it makes me feel powerful. How can I make this more fun? Accomplishing things, checking things off a list early, winning early makes it more fun. The second thing I'm going to tell you to do is find an accountability partner. Now, this one's sort of funny to me because your accountability partner can be somebody real. It can be a group that is real and that cares about your progress and that you can just check in with and go, hey, I had that hard conversation. Hey, I did that hard thing today. It can be figurative. And I don't know as if you know the power of a fake accountability partner, but let me tell you, I am the queen of fake accountability partners. So just between you and me, I concoct stories in my head, and so do you, and you don't know it. And they can be good stories or they can be bad stories. And I choose to concoct good stories sometimes. Now, if I'm not being, very mentally healthy, like a lot of times they're negative, but a lot of times I'm like, okay, Heather, if you don't show up and do your conversation between you and me, somebody is going to miss out on what you know. Somebody is going to miss you. You said you were going to do it. And what if you don't? Then you're not a woman of integrity. Now, guys, it's manufactured in my head. I bet that nobody is sitting around their social media going, Heather hasn't shown up this week. Heather hasn't said hi. Heather hasn't done her conversation between me and you. I made it up in my head so that I would show up for you because it is important to me. Like, it is very important for me to be a woman of my word. I always want to do what I say I'm going to do. It's very important. So if I know that about myself, I'm manipulating myself to show up by thinking, hey, they all miss me. Hey, they're going to know, or they're going to think that you're not living up to what you said. Fake accountability partner, real accountability partner. I don't know, but have somebody, have something, have a place that you can go that you can check in with and say, hey, I showed up. Hey, I showed up. Okay, so thank you for being my accountability partner. It just works every single time. Okay, and then third, I'm going to tell you, this is from the book. It's called Willpower Instinct. And I'm going to save you the trouble of reading the book. It is not a fun book. I did not enjoy that book at all. At all. So I read it till I got to this point. And if you read a book and you get something out of it, if you don't like it, you can quit the book. Okay. That's not quitting. That's gaining knowledge and then knowing where to part ways. But that book, I read one line and I was like, okay, I'm done with that book because I don't love it. But that line changed everything for me. And it said, people think that disciplined people that do hard things regularly, okay? Disciplined people, it must be so hard to be them. They must live such a disciplined, structured, regimented life. And really, the secret is knowing that you have to have enough willpower to create the habit. That's the hard part. So that's what I'm going to tell you today. You've got it. Sometimes you just have to have the willpower to gut it out to create the habit. But then once the habit is created, the habit takes over. So it is no longer hard for me to get up at 4:00 in the morning to go to the gym because I did the hard many, many, many years ago. Now the habit kicks in. I still don't love it. That's why I have to watch TV on the lifting machine. I know how to make things more fun for myself, make friends at the gym. I always am friends with everybody at the gym because that's what gets me through because I'm very social. So I know how to manipulate myself to get it done and to make it more fun. But sometimes, guys, you're faced with hard things right now that you are literally gonna have to gut it out. You're going to have to gut it out to get it done, or you're going to have to gut it out to create the habit. And I want you to also remember who you are. A lot of times we get real twisted on I'm this and I'm that and I failed here and I failed that and my life does not look the way I think it should look, or any of those things. But I guarantee any of us, all of us have done really hard things in life. We either survived them, we've proactively done them, we've left hard things, we have done hard things. And sometimes you just have to remember who you are to know, hey, if I did that, I can do that. If I did that, if I survived that, I can survive this. And so that is what I want you to remember when the going gets tough, that tough get going, as my dad used to say. You got to remember who you are, and you got to manipulate yourself. You got to gut it up, and you can get it done. And so whatever hard thing you're faced with, know that it's never as bad as you think it is. That's what a year of therapy got me. It's never as bad as you think it is. Make it more fun. Sometimes gut it up and find some people, a support system, an accountability person, a group, or make them up. It doesn't matter. But I want you to do the hard things because not doing the hard things is not an option. Love you guys. Merry